E ziua în care vreau să fiu doar un oarecare, să dăruiesc la întâmplare, să văd doar fețe zâmbitoare.
Yeah, so contrary to the name of the panel about utopianism, I will try to be very realistic and work on the basis of the method that Franck Berthollet developed, which is political anticipation. And therefore I will start on something which I think is important to have in mind, is that the borderless Europe, in the sense of these internal borders, we at least don't think that it's going to look like. It's being used today to strengthen another vision, which we need to worry about, which is, are we going to head now towards fortress Europe? So indeed, there is a consensus throughout the society, citizens, but also institutions and national politicians, that there won't be any more internal borders, because indeed, how would we saw yesterday in the other panel very interestingly, that where would we put the borders? We have the case of borders where you have people who would speak German on one side and will be, if we put back the border, they will end up in Italy again, and they don't want that. So we are going to have an African situation again and go to war. Everybody's aware of it. And the other very concrete reason is that it's too expensive. And calculate the number of kilometers of borders you have to survey if you add 28 borders together, instead of just one around what? That is the question. So there is a consensus on the fact that Europe will remain a borderless Europe. But there are worries. First of all, indeed, a borderless Europe, we saw it yesterday, raises questions on the questions of terrorism, mafias, etc. We saw yesterday that, in fact, there were internal problems. And indeed, there is a tendency to say, if we want to keep this borderless Europe, we will have to have police, intelligence, etc. If it's out of a democratic framework, it's going to be a problem. So democracy already enters as one very, very simple, basic prerequisite. Then we have questions, worries, which are legitimate worries, which is this transfer of sovereignty, indeed. People don't want to transfer the sovereignty of this border management to an entity, which, again, is not democratic. Well, I'm not saying that the national level is very democratic. It's dying of the fact that, indeed, there is a supranational level which makes decisions. But nevertheless, we are still somehow connected directly to the policy making of our national level, not at the European level. So how do we transfer this sovereignty of the border management to the European level? There's going to be indeed a worry from the citizens that needs to be taken into consideration. We saw yesterday also that some countries are being imposed policies from Brussels in terms of accepting migrants and things like that, and they don't want to be imposed anything. They want to participate in the discussion, and they want decisions that take into account the diversity of realities between countries in terms of what they can and want to accept in terms of migration, for instance, to take a concrete example, but there are many other examples of the same kind. Then there is the question, indeed, of external borders, which is another concern. So borderless, okay inside, kind of, we saw the limits, but what about this external border? And we have today two reasons. The migration flows, which do worry, and we have to take it into consideration and not be idealistic. People shouldn't worry about migration flows. They worry, it's a fact, and if we don't address this, we are going to have populism rising. So what do we do with this migration issue? What do we do with the fact that Europe is now in a world that is growingly conflictual and that is growingly threatening, and we have a tendency of Europe to, what is this world? I don't know it. It doesn't resemble what I used to be. So there is a worry from the citizens, including and the politicians, of course, about this Europe that needs to protect itself somehow better. How do we deal with that in a way that we don't end up with an Iron Curtain falling on Europe? So all this, there are many more aspects which you discussed yesterday, but that is to say that this shows how much, if we don't do anything, what will happen is that it's not that the national borders are going to rise again, it's that there is going to be a collusion between the European level and the governments in power, not the populist ones. They will use the populist one, saying, "Oh look, they want to put back borders, etc. So we can go in that direction." And it's the governments in power which are going to make an alliance with the European level for something very hard on us Europeans in terms of an external border and an internal system of police and intelligence, etc. That's the risk that we have today, we think, at LEAP as the greatest risk. And populism is a fact, but it is more used today. This is something we must be very aware of. Populists are dangerous, okay. But the danger of populism, because of our history of World War II, is very easy to use today to say, oh, look, Hitler is all over the place, Hitlers, trust us. And in the name of the democracy, they are going to break democracy. The ones in power. So when I say they, it's collectively, of course, you have lots of. So that's why. So this is the very negative I see, as we see it today at LEAP, trend that is at play today, and that we here need to try to, because it's not in our interest, we don't want that. The citizens don't want that. They want their concern to be taken into consideration, but good solutions to be found. So, what do we agree on? We want a borderless Europe, internal, but with internal order, social peace, and internal order, terrorism, mafias, etc. It's our diseases. We have to treat our diseases. And it's a fact that here you are going to talk about, social peace. No, but I mean, it's true that we need to have a society that is integrative again, and that doesn't promote inequalities, etc. So social peace, education, and democracy needs to increase, so that we have again an inclusive Europe that promotes social peace. So that internal order is something that is a fact and will not make people want borders again. So we want limits also. I think the Europeans, the citizens, want a Europe that knows where it stops and that is protective, but they don't want it to be trapped in an iron curtain. So okay, so we have to invent together what is a border in the 21st century at the age of internet, at the age of globalization. This is not going to change. It could reduce, it could change a bit, but it's not going to disappear. The world de facto is globalized. What is a border? What is a limit in this world? So these are issues that we can tackle together and into a democratic debate. And also, this is the last thing, which is very important, I think, it's to have, how does Europe become again a promoter of peace worldwide? Because it's not anymore that. We saw it yesterday. Today, Europe is one of the actors that don't promote peace, that in fact increase tensions in the world. And the way we are dealing, for instance, with our Russian neighbor, it's there. He doesn't want to be part of our club. So what? We need to talk with him. He's our neighbor. There are countries involved where are people dying. So if we don't talk with our Russian neighbor, and that's the first thing, and there is the rest of the whole world to do, with which we have to do that. How are we going to have a peaceful world so that we can lower borders? Okay, so that's Europe that needs to take into consideration. And I will just say what I see as reasons to hope. We have challenges here. The reasons to hope is indeed internet, the capacity of citizens to connect together, the fact that citizens today cannot be trapped in any kind of speech from the political level or the media, etc., saying, oh, we need borders, we need police everywhere. No, people are connected on internet, on social networks, and they know, and they have a counter speech, so that's a reason to hope. There is Franck Biancheri's heritage, including AG, which I think is a very good reason to hope in terms of producing solutions and capacity to debate and capacity to influence policymakers in Brussels. And there is a growing awareness throughout our society in Europe, including among political policymakers, because they're not bad. It's collectively that they can't do anything else, but individually it's full of people who are aware of these problems. And if they see a civil society emerging and that they can use to go in the right directions, we will go in the right directions. Woo.
Thank you very much.
Sentence, which is from Gramsci, in fact, politologue, and it's the epitaph. I don't know if you know what an epitaph is. It's the sentence written on the tomb of Franck. And on the tomb of Franck Thierry, it was his motto, and it's written on his it's written on his tomb. This sentence: the pessimism of intelligence, optimism of the will. And so this is what I started: pessimism of intelligence, optimism.
E si mancare